This is TeamSport Dunstable. No, I have no idea where that is either. But apparently it's a place, alright, and it just so happens to contain a karting track, which happens to be one of the home tracks of my friend Carts Against Humanity here. So, naturally, because I'm over-competitive like that, I thought it would be a fun idea to make this track the grounds for one of our races. Welcome to Perico Karting, and in this video, I try and race for victory at TeamSport Dumbledore? Where the hell am I? Well, wherever this place is, there's clearly a track here, so let me quickly take you through the layout. So, straight off the line, we have my bread and butter, a double hairpin, so we're already off to a good start. Following that, we have a right-hander, which stretches all the way over to this other right-hander here, which juts out slightly on your approach to the up-ramp hairpin right here. After you crest the up-ramp, it's a left-hander towards a left hairpin, this right turn, and then toward what I can only describe as a double-double apex. This one right here, followed by this one right here, which leads to the down ramp, where one last hairpin awaits before a dash to the line. As usual with these 50-lap races, the grid order is entirely randomized, and as luck would have it, I have been blessed with P4, much like Leicester actually, and that in P1 is Forrestal Fawn, also just like Leicester. I don't know about you, but I suddenly have a great feeling about this race. Let's get this going, shall we? And the light goes green, and let's go racing. Now, a good start here is absolutely critical, and I make use of these hairpins here, getting past Ryan, who's on my left, and then immediately throwing it down the inside of Josh in the next couple of corners. Up ahead is Forrestal Fawn. I know that I'm able to catch him, especially with my weight advantage coming up to this up-ramp. And I know that once I'm past Forrestal Fawn, I'm going to be able to defend because I've been studying the track. I give Josh behind me a hand signal to indicate we work together, and... Fawn leaves the door wide open for me coming through the first of the double-double apexes, which means I'm immediately able to take the lead and keep that lead as we finish the first lap. Now things get interesting, because when I was in Leicester leading the race, I had no idea who was in P2, and in actuality, it was actually Connor, miles behind me, fighting karting with Josh. Now, I've got a different Josh behind me who is absolutely not just going to let me walk away with this. Now, I had initially hoped when I got past Forrestal Fawn in this corner here that he would hold up Josh a little bit, but it turns out Josh found his opportunity on the second S, immediately finding the inside line, and just a lap later, he's already putting the pressure on me. He's really close to me. I know that for sure, so I'm doing my best to make sure that he stays behind me. I was not expecting to lead this race this morning, but I am damn sure I'm going to win it now. I've done my best to study this track before we came to this race, and I'm taking the majority of the corners with relative decency for my first time here. These two double apexes up here were my bread and butter. I had no problem with those, even though I did slightly miss the apex there. But the problem lies in this down ramp hairpin here. Josh was able to get a much better exit than I was, and he was able to close the distance on me a lot in this specific part of the track. In response, my lines are starting to get slightly more defensive because I'm already diving for the apex of this corner before I've even crested the up-ramp. I know exactly what to do in order to preserve speed and stay defensive, but the fact that I'm already on the defensive in lap 4 is going to prove to be quite taxing. Now here's a fantastic demonstration of just how much he's able to gain on me in that section of the track, because right here in the first of the double-double apexes, he has a horrible snap of understeer, opening up a very big gap behind me. Then as we come to the down ramp, he gets a much tighter entry into the hairpin and immediately closes up all of that distance. However, that's not really going to matter because it seems like we're starting to catch backmarker traffic. I believe this one is Panos. I'm not 100% sure, but it's likely considering that Panos was unlucky enough to retire on lap 8 after not one, but 2 of his karts broke down on him. Let's have a moment of silence for Panos. And so on and so forth. Okay, we've got a race to do. On the topic of back markers, I appear to have caught up to another one right here. It's always kind of jarring whenever I catch up to a back marker this early in a 50-lap race, but that's not what's important right now. All I know now is I need to get past this person as quickly as I can. They get a horrible snap of oversteer coming out of this corner, and I immediately do my best kangaroo impression trying to get any speed out of the car to quickly slip by. Unfortunately, Josh also found his way past that back marker, so my strife is not over yet. As much as I want to continue setting up the exciting prospect of a battle to the death with Josh, the reality was, while I was losing him in some places and he was gaining me in others, it generally just meant we were having a back and forth yo-yo effect throughout the entirety of the early stages of the race. We get past another back marker nice and easily, and things just kind of carry on as they are until we reach this big pack several laps later. It's at the beginning of lap 21 that I'm starting to close in on this individual here, and this is going to be an interesting encounter with this back marker because I'm not entirely sure if he was trying to let me through or warn me of something, because as we're coming up to the hairpin to the up-ramp, he looks behind him and starts gesturing ahead of him. So I'm led to assume that he's going to let me through at some point, yet he takes the racing line coming through this hairpin, meaning I have no opportunity to do so. I'm too far back to launch a safe move here, and because we're both lapping this back marker here, it means that I don't have the exit speed coming out of this double apex here to actually get the line. And then while he's gesturing forward, he's taking the racing line and closing the inside off again. It's really confusing. I'm not entirely sure what this guy's intentions are. He loses his back end coming through this hairpin here, finally gestures to let me through, and I find the inside. I'm not sure what the point of all that was. It might have been a slight miscommunication, but we're through now. 2 laps later, I appear to have caught up to one hell of a conga line. Directly in front of me is Long Live Hellgast, otherwise known as one of the other Joshes we have in the server. We have so many Joshes in this community, but I know that I need to get past him because I need to start scything my way through this pack. I'm holding onto the inside, he knows that I'm there, and he doesn't really offer much resistance because he knows he is a back marker in this situation. And up ahead of me is Max, otherwise known as Raven, and now I need to fight my way past him, which I'm sure I'm going to do with a move that requires absolute finesse and skill. So I start trailing him through this hairpin here, and I think I'm going to make my move in this lap right here. So I need to make sure that I stick to the back of him, and make sure that I don't drop it so that I can maintain this pace and stay as close to him as I can, and I think that here's going to be the perfect time to make a move. What's going to happen when I attempt this move on Max here? A, I get the overtake done on the inside. B, Max defends the position. C, I back off in an attempt to prevent a crash. Or D, for some reason, I get the impression that Max wasn't very happy with that, but frankly, I'm gonna have to beg his forgiveness later and carry on now. Up next on the list of potential threats to my success is George directly ahead of me, who gets brake checked by a back marker right there and then immediately starts giving me some serious grief. Now, I will give him one thing. It is really, really difficult to tell exactly who's a leader and who's a back marker in these races, so he sees me and naturally assumes he needs to start defending his position when that is in fact not the case. He is, however, going to give me one hell of a fight across these 2 laps. His lines through here are a little bit messy, but at the same time erratic enough to make me second guess myself. I'm holding the inside line here because for whatever reason I'm either A, thinking he's going to let me through, or B, trying as hard as I can to defend against Josh while George actively slows me down. But as we come into lap 28, he's still holding strong. He's not really giving me any kind of opening, and he is actually maintaining speed. He's starting to pull away from me here. Even though he went wide on the apex there, he actually got a much better exit than me out of that corner, which means that he's able to go through this corner a lot faster. He absolutely sent it through that hairpin, to be fair. He was faster than me through that hairpin every single time. I needed to make sure to stick with him as we came through the double apex, and then as we're coming into the down ramp hairpin, the presence of a back marker here means that he slows down and things get a little bit bumpy. However, things are really starting to get a bit messy up front. George absolutely throws it through the inside of that back marker there, and I follow him straight through. But George is now starting to pull away again. He's giving me one hell of a battle, and it's a shame he wasn't a front runner because this has actually been pretty engaging. I get a better exit than he does out of this corner, but the ramp is just not long enough for me to capitalize. He absolutely cuts across right there because the move wasn't on in the first place anyway, so I compromise a lot of speed going for a move that isn't really there. However, he goes wide on his exit here. As I'm coming to the down ramp, I get nice and late on the brakes, and I'm finally past him. Kudos to you, George. That was a really fun fight. Now up ahead of me is my adorable partner Bunny, who seems to be trying a little bit of attempted murder, which I am so proud of, but they actually have a reputation for fierce defense, so I am actually starting to get a little bit wary. I start mentally preparing myself for one hell of a fight past them because I have raced against Bunny a lot, and they have a tendency to really be oppressive when trying to get past them. They lose a little bit of traction coming through the first of the S's upstairs and dive immediately for the apex on the second one, blocking me off yet again, but then...
Bueno, adios, master.
Well, that's unfortunate. A little later into the next lap, though, we've got Monty ahead of us here, who is actively trying to let me through, but for whatever reason, I'm just not getting the memo. However, he does a fantastic job of leaving me plenty of space to get through here without compromising his own speed, and that's one more person out of the way. But that, right there, is Mango. And Mango is going to prove to be the biggest battle I've had all race. Now, Mango has a significant amount of pace here, which means that the gap I'm closing on him is only really marginal. Thus, it actually takes me quite a few laps to even catch up to the back of him, especially when we both got clean track to work with. However, eventually, at the beginning of lap 35, I do in fact catch up with Mango, and he gives me one hell of a fight. Now, it's important to note that Mango is absolutely no slouch, and he actually set a fastest lap in the race that was faster than mine. However, there are certain parts of the track where I had a notable advantage. For example, I was getting generally better exits out of this corner here, meaning I was slowly gaining on him coming to the up-ramp. For whatever reason, I'm already looking to the inside of that hairpin there, even though the move isn't on, just kind of hoping he's going to let me by. Another thing I should note is I didn't actually recognize this was Mango because I'm used to Mango having a 360 camera on his helmet, which he did not have on his person during this race. You also might have noticed that Mango is deliberately going defensive. He doesn't care if I am lap traffic or not. He's going to fight me because he knows he can, and he knows his pace isn't going to ruin my race. Which I can respect, but in the moment I was quite frustrated by it. Again, I get a better exit than he does out of this up-ramp hairpin here, but he starts immediately blocking off the inside and somehow gets a fantastic exit out of this corner, slowing me down while also preserving his speed. Coming through this corner here, though, he starts pulling away because his exit's better than mine. He's already swerving to the inside, and I'm starting to get confused as to why he's defending so hard. I mean, it's his right to. It's not for position, but he absolutely can, and he's not exactly ruining my race by doing this because we are racing at similar pace. I am, however, hoping that the addition of backmarker traffic will be a variable that will help me by, because again, coming to this off-ramp hairpin, I get a better exit. He's already on the inside. I'm looking for the outside, but by then the move isn't on. I believe we're catching up to Forrest or Fawn again here, who's kind of just letting us straight through immediately, which is good, but at the same time, it means I can't use him as any sort of useful weapon to help me get past Mango. Regrettably, I absolutely botch my exit out of this corner, meaning all of the hard work I've just done to catch up to Mango has been undone, and it's going to take me a little bit of time to catch up to him again. A lap and a half later, we're coming down this down ramp here, and I actually get a smoother exit than he does for once, and I actually start to close a little bit of ground. In my desperation, though, I start trying to make a move that isn't really on. I dive for the inside of turn 2, which absolutely does not work. He closes that off and capitalizes on my mistake by opening up the gap again. As we come to the up-ramp hairpin, my advantage again is obvious because I'm slowly creeping to the back of his kart again, but it isn't enough to make a move stick. He's doing this apex a lot better than I am because he's just throwing it around, whereas I'm applying way too much brake, and that's actually aiding him. But again, as we come to the second of the S's and start barreling down the down ramp, I once again get a decent exit, which means all of that distance gets closed up again. It's this tantalizing and infuriating balance of being incredibly close to Mango, but just not enough to make the move, and it's really starting to grate on my patience. On the topic of patience though, it's lap 43 where I start exercising it a bit more. Instead of trying for some kind of audacious move in the hopes that I scare Mango off of his line, I'm more patient. I'm trying to cling to the back of him because I know, for example, I have a speed advantage coming into this up ramp here, which he knows, immediately starts covering off the inside line, but I actually get a much better entry into this hairpin here than I have done before, which gives me a great run into the first S. He's giving me the inside line, which I break, turn into a switchback, do my best kangaroo impression, get the move done on the inside of the down ramp hairpin, and that's me successfully past Mango. What a battle that was. You probably saw me wipe fictional sweat off of my brow with that one because I was so stressed out. That battle lasted for way longer than I expected to, and kudos to Mango for his incredible racecraft there because he made that a battle to remember. Now, a whole lot didn't really happen in the last few laps of the race, so I'm just going to take you through the last lap, which, yeah, is lap 51 for some reason, but we'll allow it. Now, one of the coolest parts about this race was, if you look to the railing over there, you'll see a group of people waving at me and cheering me on. Those were people who actually recognized me. They saw my name on the board, and they recognized me, and they were cheering me on with my YouTube page on their phones as I was going by, which was the sweetest thing ever, and it absolutely made my day. Suddenly it goes yellow flag because I think that's George in the wall right there. And the fun part about this is actually me crossing the line, winning the race, but because the marshal is too busy pulling George out of the wall, he's not able to wave the checkered flag. I've caught up to the back of my darling partner Bunny here again, and now I'm just going to cut straight to me pulling into the pits, confused because I've won the race, but I have no idea if I have. Sorry. Until I see that timing screen, I ain't celebrating. Yes! Well done. Well done. I'm excited. Oh no, pay off. Josh with the fastest lap. Yes! I'm sorry. Pull it down and back. I went for the move, the gap was open, and then you turned. I had him breathing down my neck. I just needed to get past people as quickly as I could. I take full responsibility for that one. Yeah.
Subscribe to Perico Karting.
Well, that was a nice surprise. I didn't exactly come into this race expecting a shot at victory, but I was sure as hell happy to take the opportunity to try to with the cards I was dealt. I wish I could say this race was completely clean, but, well, again, sorry Max. P1 goes to myself, P2 of course goes to Josh, and P3 goes to KARTDEMONIUM, or Ryan Cirrus as you've come to know him. Big congrats to him on the podium. I could tell that it gave him a much needed confidence boost, and quite frankly, he absolutely deserved it. I want to give a shout out to the people who are cheering me on trackside. Honestly, that's one of the coolest things to ever happen to me while I'm at a race. And I want to thank all of you for the patience. I know this video took a hot minute, especially with the first time a tips video I decided to make in between this and the last one. But I'm pleased to report that I've actually got a bit of a backlog of footage right now, so there is plenty more to come. Up next will be TeamSport Stoke, because it's had a serious glow up as of late, and I think it's time that I give that track the love it deserves on this channel. Until next time.